sometimes going all in on something and never shifting from that doesn't allow the mind space to actually think about what's going on.
You are listening to the Go Earn Your Salt podcast, brought to you by Salty Electrolytes. On this podcast, your host, Riley Rogers, explores the stories of people who get after it, get things done, and earn their salt. You will hear from high achievers who discuss what makes them tick, how they got to where they are today, and where they're headed tomorrow. Perhaps this podcast will help you go earn your salt. All right. Welcome to the show today. David Schlachter with Abstract Chimp Shoes. I get a little tongue-tied there, but to kind of bring you guys into why I invited David onto this podcast was he's got a relatively new startup company building shoes, and they're the minimalist barefoot style, wide toe box, no rise in the sole. And I've been a barefoot runner / barefoot shoe user for, gosh, as we were discussing, around 15 years now. And I joined the little barefoot shoe cult a long time ago, and I've stuck with it since, and I'm a huge fan. We're also jiu-jitsu brothers, man. We both share that as a common interest, common sport. And I learned of David through a friend of mine, Carlos Machado, in his podcast, Coffee Time with Carlos. So shout out to Carlos here. But I watched that episode and became super interested because we just have a lot in common here. So David, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, Riley. Excited to be here.
Yeah, this is super cool. So tell me about you, man. Who's David?
So, I'm David. I've grown up in San Diego, and I moved to Dallas probably like 5 years ago. I was out there for 5 years, and I just got back to San Diego about 2 months ago. But I was training over at Carlos Machado, and he was nice enough to let me on the show and share with everyone my shoes. My family's been in the shoe business for over 20 years, and so it developed a little bit of a path for me to venture out and create my own brand, kind of like a branch off of the tree,
Sure.
if you will. And for the most part, they've had all sorts of shoes from Nike, Puma, Adidas, to even now some barefoot shoes. And I started to get versed in some barefoot shoes about when I headed out to Dallas 5 years ago. And when I tried a pair on, I was just all in. Like the difference meant the world to me. Like just having your toes go from this to kind of splayed out and with some space to like move, it was incredible. And I think being obsessed with health and wellness too, I knew I wanted to do something in that space as well as start a brand. And I thought it was going to be in apparel, but then I was like, wait, I can still do apparel and I can tie in shoes to it, and it can still be in the same lane of health and wellness and serving people in a profound way. And I was all in.
That's so cool, man. I think it's fun for people, if you've never experienced use the term I saw in your website and stuff, you really harp on that wide toe box, and I mentioned it in the intro, right? When you get to those toes being able to move, man, it's a different thing. And then
Totally.
having that zero drop sole too, it's just something when you can feel the ground and you're not kind of tippy toed and you don't have that big pad there, you walk different. You really do. And it's hard to help people understand.
It's kind of like it is like this micro level change, but it does just open up the world. It's like going to Carlos Machado's class and learning kind of Machado method. All of a sudden you're on the mats and he does this like super micro level adjustment where he just shakes a little and it changes the entire roll.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like similar to his technique. I'd almost create that sort of analogy, but yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah. And I'm curious. So you said you've been in the shoe business are you growing up? Your family's been in the shoe business. You said 20 plus years?
Yep. So, I mean, I'm 26 years old, and I mean, growing up, I wasn't like really working, but I was around it, and my dad would always give me looks and exposure. There was nothing really that was closed off. He wanted me to be involved in his world, and yeah, it. I learned a lot through that, and then it just branched off into me wanting to do my own brand. He was working with the brands and helping them out in a lot of ways, and then I just was like, I want to kind of, I love what my dad's created, but I want to honor it, but I want to kind of create my own path as well.
So when you're was he actually manufacturing shoes, or was he selling other brands as a his business?
He was selling other brands. There was an interest in starting like his own brand and their own brand, but it took I think they had like some hurdles with it. It was not as they had their core business, and then they wanted to experiment with this, but it was like a lot to go into, and they were just like, we'll revisit it, and they kept pushing it kind of down the road. But uh, I was all in. I've always been obsessed with story. I've always been into kind of like streetwear culture, or like even just pop culture, and seeing kind of what's going on in the world through the lens of like whatever it is, Hollywood or sport, or there was something that was exciting to me about that, and wanted to go in and create my own brand off of that.
Did you ever get involved in like the Nike craze where they're collecting these certain versions of the Air Jordan this and Flight that, or what? I see it at a distance, but I've never been in it, so I don't know. Is that something you've been part of?
Oh yeah, I dived in full force. Kind of when I was like 15. I think my cousins were really big into it, and I could never actually understand it. Like it was like a different language to me. Like I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. These shoes are, they're like, this is the best shoe ever. This is the Jordan 6. This is the one he
Yeah.
wore when he did this. This is the Jordan 3 where he dunked from the free throw line in the dunk contest. And I was like, dude, this is just an ugly shoe. And then they tell me the price, and I'm like,
Yeah.
just explosion. And um, but then I started to dive into the actual history and like the stories of the shoes, and it made them so much cooler.
Yeah, and that's what you were talking about
And
earlier. You're kind of get into the story part of things, right?
definitely,
Oh man.
definitely. And yeah, I wanted to kind of create my own stories with it, but I also started to like veer off path from streetwear culture, like kind of like these expensive shoes that were releasing every weekend. And I also just saw a new functionality, right? Like these are narrow toe boxes, so the story can be great, but if it's not serving your body and your biology and honoring that, I didn't want anything to do with
So
it.
you the practical side of you took over, huh?
Pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
It's a funny thing, man, because you can go from a traditional narrow toe box shoe to a wide one, and it feels great. But man, if you go back, holy crap, I can't even breathe right when I get in a regular pair of shoes. I went to buy a pair of dress shoes last year, so I was Salt Electrolytes, my electrolyte company, sponsored the PGF, the grappling, the event there in
Yeah.
Vegas, and
The big one.
one of
Yeah.
the things is they want you, if you're there as part of the crowd, they want you dressed up. And so I was like, man, I don't even own a pair of dress shoes. I only own my barefoot shoes, right? So I bought some. Just, I went to buy some dress shoes, and it was like this freaking took me forever to find something that I could even. I had to buy like a double E or some crap, really wide shoe, and
Hmm.
and it wasn't designed for that. So I had to buy
Hmm.
it like three sizes too big because I just couldn't breathe, man. I put them on, I'm like, I can't move right. I feel terrible in these things, and I want to honor them and wear a pair of dress shoes in there, but oh, it was the worst. It was the worst.
I, I get that entirely. I'm like, yeah, it's like almost impossible for me to go back
Yeah.
to. I'm okay with trying out a shoe with some drop and playing around with drop. Weightlifting, sometimes they say it's better to have a little bit of drop and be on that incline
Sure.
to relieve some pressure if you're lifting super heavy weights on the knees. But the one part, like, and the one piece that we're going to be super dogmatic about as a brand is that wide toe box.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can justify not being able to splay your toes if your toes are meant to be able to splay.
Yeah, man. So tell me this, when you're determining how wide to go, right? Um, what how did that process look? I mean, what, cuz I've tried other brands, like there's a brand that in the UK that's a fairly popular brand, and I bought a pair of those and they're fairly expensive. And dude,
Hmm.
they said wide toe box, but I got that shoe and I'm like, it's not wide enough. It's, it
Yeah,
was still too narrow for me.
yeah, yeah. It's a tough thing to it's a tough thing to spearhead because in that process when you're creating that last, you definitely want it to be wide enough based off kind of what I just said. Like you want to be able to splay your toes, but you also don't want it to be, a clown shoe to where you've got platypus feet and you're just like, this is way too wide. I'm clonking around in these things. But uh, we went through a few iterations in the sampling process to where we had platypus feet. Like we were swimming in these shoes, man.
Yeah.
And also we went through you kind of go through like two different extremes before you find your right like fit. You kind of have to bump into the walls and be squished, and then you also kind of have to live in this vast shoe before you find this is right.
Funny, man, because you just have a shoe, you just cut the end off and let your toes wiggle. I love
Exactly.
it. I love it. No, I was curious about that because so you growing up in this family that's selling other brands of shoes, right? And then you decide to create your own shoe and split off on your own brand. What, from a family dynamic standpoint, what did that look like?
So really, like, I when I moved out to Dallas, I left apparel industry management at a school in LA, and that's where I was learning pattern making, really the apparel shoe, the design process and merchandising process. And pandemic hits, everything goes off campus. They won't let you near the school. And I'm just like, what am I paying for? Like, I'm not getting the education. They're showing me how to cut and do this stuff on Zoom where I can't get my hands on experience. I'm better off just going to the family business and getting immersed around brands through that. So I go out there, and about 4 years into it, well, actually 2 years into it, I start prototyping with my brother who's in Australia at the time. And I'm designing, kind of drawing out the silhouette and what it's going to look like, working on like a templative tech pack. And uh, we just nailed something that we loved. And it just was like, we're doing this. We got to do this. And as I'm working at the company still, I'm not taking away time from it because I'm still able to allocate time. My brother, I'm talking to him late nights, so like I get off work at like 5, and then I'm going directly to a phone call with my brother, and we're just getting amped and hyped about this thing. And if we weren't doing that, it was a call with our Chinese manufacturer who was helping us with the prototypes. And so I was kind of dedicating work away from what I was doing at the shoe business at the time, and I was able to juggle both. But as we were ramping up and we got towards production, there became an inflection point to where it was like my cousin, who's like the president CEO of the company too. He was kind of like, "You just have to let me know where you're at. Are you all in on this thing? Because your next stage of learning the shoe business is going to require like a level of intensity."
So he was
And I
already
kind of had to,
experienced in that and kind of knew what was coming for you and was kind of giving you a heads up almost, huh?
for, for sure. Like my dad and then his brother, which is my cousin's dad, they spearheaded the whole venture and created the business is called Chewbacca. So they kind of built it from the ground up. And Ryan kind of, I don't know what year he kind of took over, but he really found his place in it and absolutely crushed and found a rhythm and building that thing up even more. And so he went through exactly what I went through, and he was early on telling me, if you're expecting a sprint, this is not that. This is a marathon. So make sure you're doing things gradually. Don't go too fast. But yeah, at that point he was real with me and he said, "Are you 100% committed to this, or are you going to be on and off between Abstract Chimp and Chewbacca?" And I said, uh, "Give me a week, let me think about it." And yeah, my heart was all in on Abstract Chimp, and I said, "This is the right time to jump off and give this thing my all."
Were you guys were you selling anything yet at that point?
No, so this was actually like right before we received shoes. This is kind of like crazy, but yeah, this is like right before we received them, and so it was just my brother and me. So like, and they've got an operating warehouse and everything there, and that's kind of the what gave us the vote of confidence also to go into the shoe business. But at the same time, they're not like this. We're gonna do everything for you, and you guys can go off to La La Land or wherever you want. It was like, no, you need to be there, receive your shoes. We'll help you along the way and kind of tell you
Hmm.
what things are probably smarter and what things are not smart to do. But we got in there, and my brother and me found our way. He was in San Diego, where he received some shoes, and then we sent some out to Dallas, and we started warehousing them there.
That's interesting, because that's something a lot of people experience when they go into business, especially when they're they're making it, right. They have to. There's that place where you have to cross that chasm, right? Of I need to devote full time to it, but there's no income coming in yet. And so, how do you cross that bridge? And, you said, so you're kind of sharing warehouse space. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I mean we're very small compared to what they do,
Sure.
and uh, we just got a small space in there, and we're starting to scale up from there. And yeah, I think the ultimate thing would be somewhat in the future maybe tie in with them, but I don't know. We're just figuring it out, and we're being scrappy, lean, startup mode founders right
Yeah.
now.
Well,
So
so talk about that some more, man. Like if you're giving advice to somebody, you've been at this how long again? Tell me.
um, the Abstract
Since
Chimp
you went
is
full time, I
about
guess.
about like a year in.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so talk about that and maybe give some advice to startup businesses. That you said lean, you're running lean, right? And you're scrappy and you're
Yeah.
you're out there kind of you're doing what it takes, but you've started with renting a portion of the warehouse, a small step to again cross this big gap, right? I talked to a guy the other day and
Hmm.
he started a brand new company and he said they immediately bought a location. It was $4,400 a month for this, location they purchased that they really didn't need. It was way bigger than they
Yeah.
required. But man, that was stressful for him, man. That poor guy struggled for years trying to get business up to a level that could actually even pay for the spot where he wasn't paying out of pocket. So yeah, give us some advice, man. Talk about that.
Yeah. That's an expensive space. It's like I think at the beginning of every venture, it's so damn exciting that you've already architected in your mind what this thing could be. You've modeled it,
Yeah.
uh, and you're like, well, we can afford it. Not right now, but we can afford it in the future. And you kind of give yourself excuses to pay for all sorts of things, but those things start adding up, and they start like coming at you real quick, and you've got to be able to you've got to be able to stay afloat and stay disciplined enough to where they don't mess with your revenue and you're still being profitable and staying afloat. Because if you're not staying afloat, you're not going to be doing that very long. Like if you're not able to support yourself, it's just not going to work out. Um, I think, yeah, like you said, it's like don't bite off more than you can chew in the beginning, no matter how excited you are. Kind of ground yourself, and yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint by any means.
It's well said, man. You mentioned in there that you kind of plan things out and you have this, you've kind of proof of concepted the whole thing in your head, and on paper it looks great, and it's like, oh, we should be able to do this. But when you did that, what did the first 6 months of sales look like in comparison to what you knew you could potentially do?
Um, it was interesting. I think the beginning of our business, like we actually had like this big push. Like we were we went really into somewhere fast. We had some events off of the rip that put us in front of people. And getting in front of people has always been our bread and butter.
Hmm.
Like if people can see, feel, try on these shoes, like we talked about earlier, you feel that difference instantly. You're on board.
Yeah.
But once those events started to slow down, they started to become like this reality of like, okay, now we actually have to learn how to market aside from being in front of people. We can't really afford a brick and mortar store. We don't know if that's the right route. And there's just this reality of like it's time to actually push some weight at this point. Like now we're actually getting into it.
Oh, dude. No, that's beautiful how you put that, because there are, like, those events are cool, but you can only afford to do a certain amount of those until you get a basis of
Hmm.
your sales up, right? So yeah, we experienced that same thing where it was like all these cool events, getting in front of people, meeting all these different connections, but then we start to realize that no, there's some other stuff that has to happen behind the scenes where we've got to be out there pushing our product, direct sales, and doing the hard stuff, the cold calling and that kind of thing, and because you just can't do an event every weekend, right? Business owners, I want to talk to you for a second. Do you have a retail space inside your location? If so, I want you to think about something. Your customers are buying electrolytes. You know that, right? The problem is they're not buying them from you. Well, Salty Electrolytes can help fix that with their wholesale program. They can bring these sales to you in-house so that your customers get the electrolytes they love from the company they love, you. All you have to do is head over to goearnyourSalt.com and scroll to the bottom of the page and click Apply for Wholesale. Do it now before you forget. I know your type, I'm one of you. Once again, that's goearnyourSalt.com. The link is at the bottom of the homepage. There will also be a link in the description on this video. And now, my friends, go earn your salt.
Hmm. For sure. It's a little bit more of a hustle at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the thing that a lot of times people don't plan for and they're not prepared for, and then it hits them in the face. It's like, holy crap, I got to get out there and do some really difficult things. You use the phrase pushing some weight. Now it's time to get down to that nitty gritty.
Roll up the sleeves.
Yeah, man. What does that look like? What are you guys doing now? What's your push?
So right now I'm deep in kind of like another R&D prototyping rollout, and I'm still running around. I'm talking with Carlos about some stuff, and I want to get more into the BJJ community, and because I think combat sports and like martial artists get it right away too. I mean, most of the time, or pretty much any martial arts, people are barefoot. I mean, wrestling, boxing, you have some pigeon toe shoes. Be cool to make a push into there at some point, maybe as well. But they understand for the most part what you're getting into. My brother's been kind of pushing on some organic marketing. He's running around in a chimp suit, creating some disruptive marketing, something where people are just like, "What is this? Why are you wearing a chimp suit?" And so he's out there. He's living kind of like a nomadic lifestyle right now. He's in a Sprinter van.
Oh, rad.
He's gonna get some shoes here soon, and he's gonna be he's a climber, and he loves being on the go. I mean, when we started this thing, he was in Australia, and he just kind of went off a whim. He's always been this way. Like, he's a bit of an abstract chimp, if you will. Like, he's early on in like school, I think he studied abroad, um, New Zealand, and then he picked Taiwan after that, and then he went to Australia. He went to Portugal. He's a surfer, climber, outdoorsman. He just goes, man.
Oh, that's pretty fun, man. I think all of us kind of have a little bit of that like desire to do that. Gosh,
Yeah,
yeah, maybe one day. um,
for
talk about the
sure.
name Abstract Chimp. What in the world? Where did that come from?
So again, in like the process of building a brand, you've got to figure out a name. This is another part of it, and we wanted something that stuck out and similar to the chimp suit made people say, "Why is your name Abstract Chimp? What?" And it was really a play on evolution.
Okay.
So, if anything, the brand more than a shoe brand is like an observation on evolution. And it's like, where did we come from? Where are we going? And that's how we kind of build the ultimate product. Similar to the deal of like creating a shoe, it might be big at first, it might be too tight at first, and then once you get two of those options, you can build the perfect option. But you can't do it with only one.
Yeah,
And so, abstract. Can you hear me all
I can
right?
hear you. Okay, yeah, you're doing fine. I
There's
hear the
a
airplane, but
plane flying over.
it's
Yeah, I'm in San Diego. We got the Navy here and like military, so sometimes you just have stuff
yeah.
hovering
No,
above.
you're doing fine, man.
Uh, cool. So, in the name Abstract Chimp, abstract kind of showcases uh, the future, and chimp showcases the past. Kind of our first principles. We came from monkeys, or we share 98% of DNA of monkeys, 98 or 99, I don't even know, of chimpanzees. And if Darwin's evolutionary theory is right, that suggests that a chimp evolved a human. That chimp had to be doing some profoundly different stuff than the rest of the troop. It couldn't have been doing the same dynamics because we're just not, we don't live in the same way as chimps. We do a lot of similar things, but we live in two different societies and as two different
Sure.
species.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, man, because you're when you're talking about designing this product around what a human foot looks like, right? Where it's odd to me in hindsight now after wearing these types of shoes for this long. It's odd to me that shoes ever became pointy and skinny. It's what happened
Yeah.
there to make that the norm. It does puzzle me a bit. It's fascinating. Fascinating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. That's kind of in the brand too. It's like, are we evolving the right way? And I hope the brand can serve to not just be, uh, you know, us pushing shoes that we feel are serving as a difference, but it can create this butterfly effect of other creators going like, you know, I mean, you've got the salt brand. Are we hydrating
Right.
correctly? So much of like our hydration just comes from, dead water. Like there's no minerals in it. Even when we try to do things right, we strip the water of all of its minerals. You're dehydrating
You're
yourself
gonna
when
purify
you're
it. Yeah.
drinking water if you don't add salt. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man.
So I don't know. And hopefully like 100, so many different other areas we can kind of question. It just allows for space to question things or status quo.
Yeah. No, it's super cool. I can't wait. I wanna pick a pair of your shoes up and give them a shot, man. Because I know at this point you've got one model, correct?
Yep, just one style, the Fission 5.01,
Something I
and then
noticed.
3 colorways.
Something I noticed when I look at these, okay, is the brands I've used in the past have an obviously very, they just look like a barefoot shoe. People will notice them because they do. Clown shoes is part of it, the way the kind of toes, the shaped. But then it's the sole on the side of the sole. Usually it's really thin, and
Hmm.
yours have they kind of they almost look like a normal shoe in the sole because it goes up higher around the shoe, but your foot sits lower down in it, right? Um, and I noticed that
Exactly.
as a design thing, and I'd like you to speak to that maybe a little bit about what your thoughts were there, because it's you know
That's that's sharp, dude. That's like a pinpoint observation because that's literally that was kind of what I wanted to go and do when I designed the shoe. I wanted it to not be so disruptive to where, like, I think some barefoot shoes are just so disruptive and not very attractive. They may be super functional, but they're missing kind of the style points. With ours, I wanted to nail style and I wanted to nail functionality. And to do that, I knew it was gonna have to be different from status quo because I don't want these narrow pigeon-toed toe boxes. But I knew that I needed to create something that was kind of a seamless
yeah.
transition. Like it wasn't going to be a big deal for someone to go from a pair of Vans, Converse, something super iconic like the Chuck Taylor, whatever it was, or even a pair of Nikes. Like it wasn't so disruptive to where they would be like, "This is way far off, man."
No, and that's that missing link. You go that the evolution thing you're talking about. That's that missing link. Is like, how do we almost wean them off of that normal shoe into more of the barefoot style? With yeah, if you have ones with freaking 5 toes sticking out there, you look like a dork when you're running around. And so you have to overcome that too. Everybody's wanting to tease you about your shoes, and yeah,
Right.
that's a real hurdle. You're not kidding.
Yeah.
Um,
For sure. And it's funny because even though like uh, I'll go at like the five fingers, I've got some friends and people who've like started some five finger brands, and functionally they're sound shoes. Like
sure.
they're incredible shoes. It's just for me it's tough to and I don't care really. Like I'll go wear them to the gym. Like I would do it, but like I think for me I like that style of kind of like a traditional shoe somewhat, and I just wanted to evolve it a little bit.
Yeah. I think you've done a good job in that,
And
man. It's an attractive
Brad,
shoe. It looks good. It doesn't really. It's like you can see signs of it. I mean, the wide toe box definitely has a look to it, but
hmm
it's one where you could do it without too many questions. And so yeah, attracting the like switching someone over from a normal shoe, that'd be a fairly easy jump, but not too extreme.
hmm
Talk about this, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Talk about the transition, because I remember this, and I'll give you why I asked this question. The transition from a thick sole, high heel type, squishy shoe to a barefoot shoe. And honestly, I don't know this about yours. Does it have a pretty thin sole?
Yeah, we're real thin.
Okay.
We can, and we've got two kind of options too. We've got an insole, but you can pop that sucker right out of the shoe and just ride. If you like that super minimal ground
Yeah.
feel, you can just wear it right along the strobel.
Perfect. So back to my question then. When people make the transition, right? When your shoe has been arch supported with a squishy sole and squished up toes your whole life, and you transition to this other shoe, man, I experienced sore feet for a little while. Like it took me a while to get the muscles in my feet and the even the ligaments in all those little foot bones strong enough to where when I would run with these shoes that I wouldn't have some pain, right? Now I was willing to push through that because I had read up enough on it. That Born to Run book we talked about off air. Um,
You know.
I just knew it was going to be a problem, but I still overdid
Hmm.
it. I went out, I was distance running at the time, and, first run did a mile and with a minimalist shoe. And was pretty dang sore. Can you talk about that transition? How long does it take, and what does it look like for somebody who's
Sure.
wanting to transition shoes?
Yeah. So, I mean, that is definitely like the consensus, right? If you have been wearing these traditional uh, shoes for the past 20 years or whatever it is, some of us longer than that, your feet are going to be a little bit atrophied. Your feet are going to be a little bit out of shape. Like you're you haven't been going to the gym for a little while if you've been wearing those ultra cushiony shoes, narrow toe boxes. It probably is going to be best to slowly transition into barefoot
Yeah.
shoes. What that looks like, I can't say there's this one uniform for everyone, but I think for me, it was about a year until I fully transitioned to just barefoot
Yeah.
shoes. And I think I did some of the wrong things along the way. Again, there's like the balance game. You go too far, for you, like you run a mile the first day or you run 3 miles later and your foot's not adapted to that. You're probably better just walking. And then there's also you go too soft, you don't wear them enough, your feet are
It never strengthened.
still
Yeah.
atrophying. You need to be right in the middle, is where I find myself always needing to be. And yeah, you got to respect your body's limits. Your body is the ultimate technology, and it's going to give you signals if you listen deeply enough to where this isn't intuitive, this isn't the right direction, or you're just being too lazy. And sometimes you have to keep yourself in check. And it's right in the middle, I find, where we need to find ourselves. But I don't know. It's you can speak to it as well. Like the transitionary period is something you need to adapt to. If it's going to walk your dog one time a day, if it's going to the just throw your barefoot shoes on once a day and go to the gym, if it's to go to work in them because you're not running at work or you're not doing something so active, and then if you're a runner, you know, gradually go from that cushion. You don't have to take them and throw them away right at once.
Yeah.
Just slowly work into them.
Yeah, no, I experienced that same thing, man. I did this. I told you, first run was a mile, and I really regretted it. I was like, gosh, man, I had heard from people that said, quarter mile max, and I was like, I ran a quarter mile. I felt great still. I was like, oh, this is good, man. I'm gonna keep going, and I kind of ran until I stopped feeling great. That was too much, dude. And it's weird because the arch of my foot got so sore, and then it took me a couple
Yeah,
weeks to recover from that, and then you start to really second guess whether this is a good idea or not. But there was a point
for
when
sure.
I had gotten up to about 3 miles, and I had an actual 10K race scheduled, right? And so I'm going, well, I'm at 3 miles. I should be able to do 4.5 in my training runs. This is
Hmm.
about a month before my event, right? And I'll just jump from 3 to 4.5. And I did that, dude, and I broke something in my foot, actual. And so then I'm like, 6, 8 weeks of healing up, and I missed my event, couldn't even do it. My wife took my spot, took my race number, and she went and ran the event, and it was kind of embarrassing,
Crushed.
and but it affected my everything. In fact, because now I got something in my foot that I'm pretty sure was a broken bone. And it took a little while to do that, but I thought because I was 4 months into this thing that I was okay, and I just too much too
Hmm.
fast, and had I went
Yeah,
3.5 instead of 4.5, I could have probably been okay. So yeah, take your time, I guess, is the especially as a runner, right? I think walking you can get away with a lot more, but as a runner, take your time, and it's worth the transition, because what I then noticed later was, man, hip flexors, knees, shin splints were completely gone. I was bad
hmm,
shin splints prior to that. Shin splints, I never had them
hmm,
again. That was actually an
went
instantaneous
away.
thing, benefit
Yeah,
I learned. But yeah, man, my hips and knees wouldn't be sore after runs. I'm just like, everything else is great, but those feet were
yeah.
just so weak.
It's Dude, the body's amazing. You let it do its thing. It's like it'll take care of you, and then you'll get more in touch with it too. It's like how people, I don't know, there's there's just like this deeper relationship with like the way things are. Like I think we could all obtain, and it helps on so many cylinders. Like a weakened nature away from like a lot of like action can really help the mind. Um, if you just like do yoga or you don't do like crazy weights, sometimes it's like you get a better feel for this what you're living in day to day.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of go just be bored for a little while. We don't get bored ever, current day,
So true.
I think of road type.
That's key.
Say that again.
I was saying that's key. It's we're moving so far away from that right now.
Yeah. I think I took a road trip down to see Carlos for the to be on his podcast here last year, April, May, something like that. And I was on that road trip, man, and that because I was just bored, I wasn't listening to music, I wasn't doing anything. I was just driving and watching those lines go by on the road for 1,000 miles, and I remember just the creative juices start flowing when you get bored. And I
Hmm.
imagine, I guess that's a question I have for you as you've built this business and start to run through it, and you're thinking through your designs and things. What did you do to gain the inspiration? Like, how do you set time aside? What's your method?
I think yeah, there's like it's really important in creative work to have buffers, and what those look like to me in my process, it's always just been it needs to be like spontaneous and super intuitive, like but also scheduling them somewhat to where it's not super spontaneous. It's like you need those to like stay in the game and stay creating and stay in that creative framework. Like sometimes going all in on something and never shifting from that doesn't allow the mind space to actually think about what's going on. Like I don't know how it is for you in jujitsu, but like in jujitsu, like you've been at it for like a long time. I've heard from some upper belts and people telling me about this. Like sometimes you just need to get away from the mats for a little. Go rock climb. Go
Yeah,
do a yoga class. Go do something different. And your whether it's your I don't think it's your conscious. Your subconscious will start to work out that problem. Like
yeah,
it's pretty extraordinary, but that's how it is with my creative work as well. Like really everything. Like if you're struggling in some spot, sometimes the best bet isn't to run through a wall, but it's to take 5 steps backwards and find a new route.
that's so. What you just said, man, is I found that to be true in jujitsu. I found it to be true in business. I found it to be true in running. Mountain bike, all those kind of things. Like I'll be doing a different activity and solve a jujitsu problem. Like, man, some dude's been passing my guard, and I just can't. He's freaking. He's done it 15 times, and I can't quite figure out a solution for it. And then I'll be out fishing. I'm reeling a bass in, and all of a sudden it just clicks. Like, oh, I could just move this way. And,
That's
totally unrelated, right? But I think that
yeah,
disengagement does help.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's good.
Like even sleep, it's like that's why sleep's so important. It's just like allowing your conscious to just shut down, like
Yeah.
chill for a sec.
Yeah, the overstimulation, man, is not always good, right? Yeah, you're not even, you mentioned you don't even have space for it. It's like, I can't think clear because I have too much other crap coming in. And so, yeah, creative solutions die when that's going on. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, dude, you're dropping some bombs here. I love it. I love it. Um,
Epic, dude.
what do you find as you're, as you've gone through this process, man, and we kind of alluded to it a little bit, but what is the what is the design what does it look like, man? I don't even know anything about the shoe business. So when you're coming up with like a template, the shape to make the shoe, what do you do there? I mean, you just draw a pretty picture of it and it's like, I think I'm gonna build that, or what?
That's pretty much it, man. That's it. It's so that's probably like the final thing you do, but I think a lot of it is just being inspired by like things around you subconsciously, consciously, just whether it's nature, whether it's people and conversations. Uh, it's all just observation based, and I think with my design process, yeah, I like taking the things I love best from like what I can see and trying to create kind of this mishmash and put it into one thing. And it's like, I don't know, that's kind of like my way of creating something new. I really want to create something new when I set out to create something. I think it's very hard to do that. Like, I feel like a lot of people always say this, like there aren't any new ideas. We're just kind of reiterating old
There's some
things.
truth to
And I think
that for
that's
sure.
somewhat true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think my best way is combination things, and don't just do it with shape, don't just do it with style, but do it with color, give it everything you got. I don't know. It's like, I don't know if I can really say the process, and like, it's just very natural to me.
Yeah. Did you,
And
because part of this whole decision, Mike, like, because I was talking to my son the other day, and he was building just this box for the back of, he's got a Toyota 4Runner, right? And he likes to camp in it, and he built this box that he has some drawers in. They can store stuff in the back, and it was fun. He's 18 years old, and it's kind of his first project like that, and he was building it, and he called me out in the backyard to have me come look at some stuff he was struggling with, and we were looking at this, and I said, man, do you realize like that thing existed only in your head a few hours ago, and now it's a physical item sitting here? And I think
it's a thing.
he's like, crap, dude, I didn't think of that. Like I guess that's true. It was an idea, and now he built it. Now it's a thing. And
Hmm.
you're dealing with that in the shoe world, where you had an idea, you've talked to some people, but then there were some decisions that had to happen to build this physical
Hmm.
product. And one of those decisions, I think, I know, is, what materials do you use, man? How did you figure out what you wanted to use? All right, you sweaty buggers. That liquid dripping off your forehead and down your back contains minerals that are critical for high performance. If you don't put those minerals back, you're not going to perform well. This is where salty electrolytes comes in. Salt contains 6 electrolyte minerals plus a touch of iodine to help you replenish after a hard workout. Salt is the only electrolyte supplement to pair every mineral with its counterpart, giving you the most robust mineral profile on the market, period. Head over to goearnyoursalt.com today to get some for yourself. Use the code GOEARNYOURSALT to get 15% off your first order. And now, my friends, go earn your salt.
Yeah. So when I started to like dive into design, it was very important to me, like, to be as sustainable as we could be while being still reasonable. Like, um, again, bouncing off two walls to find where you're not going to be bouncing off and you're just right. Like, for me, it was in the beginning of this thing, dude. I was searching to source the most crazy material, the coolest thing we could do, and man, I was trying to make a alien technology type shoe. This thing was going to be made out of mycelium,
Okay?
out of mushrooms.
Yeah.
Like, and we were working with like this this spot in Germany that specialized in mycelium leather, and we were going to source it from Germany. And as we started doing this, we just run into like, we talked about it, I think, a little bit before we hopped on the call. You run into like the equation of MOQs
Yeah. That stands
and
for,
minimum
just
order
for the
quantities.
audience to
Like,
know, MOQ is minimum order quantity, right? To have something manufactured,
yep,
that manufacturer, in order to get that machine dirty, has to charge, has to have a certain amount of volume. And that's what you're talking about. So there's the background.
it,
Keep going.
perfect. Yeah, and so with that, like, the amount we were gonna have to order, it turned in from like startup to big boy business. Like, you've gotta, it was like a reality check. Like, you can work with some clean materials and you can work with this, but you've got to be a serious player to be using
Yeah.
this.
So tell the
And
audience, dude, what does serious player money mean? It's it's
it
huge.
was just it it just like 10x the
Yeah.
cost of our product. Like with that one split, like you said, that idea. Oh, and then you take the idea from like, oh, that's a beautiful idea to, oh, this is a real number and this is a real product, but this number is going to contradict this being like a feasible thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That number in
And
general can
so,
kill the idea instantly. Right.
yeah. So we ended up going there, and then, you can work with all sorts of like other materials that can make the shoe. Uh, I don't know, it can make it less expensive, but it could take away from the quality and the way it looks. And we kind of wanted to be somewhere in the middle of just right. And we went for anything we used synthetically, it was recycled, or it was like a natural rubber. And then um, the upper shell to our shoe is just organic cotton canvas.
Okay.
It's this real kind of like, it feels almost like a Carhartt jacket.
Okay.
It feels kind of like a tough like workwear. Um, and yeah, I just wanted to replicate something again, like something close to that. I'm a SoCal guy. Like I'm from San Diego, and I love that Vans lifestyle look. I like Chuck Taylors, uh, and we wanted to create something close to that, but also how could we maybe refine it and make it give us a little bit more of an edge? It's not so thin like a Vans Authentic or a Chuck Taylor, and it's a little bit more durable, a little bit more heavy. And then we went with calf leather on the collar and on the pull tab.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So what's coming up in the future? So you guys said you got some other designs coming. Are you looking like a different kind of shoe segment, different style, or are you look what's the
Yeah. So this first one was really our generalist model, and it's kind of this like lifestyle, everyday, everything. Go to the gym, whatever you want to do. I mean, don't run a marathon and everything, but like supposed to hit most wear
yeah.
types. And the point of that was we can jump really anywhere, any direction we see as fit. And I think the future, I don't know, I want to step into some athletic models. I've got a few prototypes right now I'm working on that are an athletic model um, that we're excited about. And it's kind of, again, uh, carrying that transitionary philosophy from uh, not so disruptive to what people are wearing every day.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also going to take some risks on this one. I'm kind of thinking in my head, I'm going to sample it and I'm going to play with some cool materials and mess around. No mycelium leather, but something
Not
cool.
yet. Maybe in the future.
Future.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because we talked about minimum order quantities earlier, and I think and your customers probably do the same thing as mine do, where they'll go, when are you going to bring out a new flavor? And they don't realize that
Hmm.
new flavor is a $20,000 bill. It's not like,
Yeah.
it's just, I'm just going to put it in the box. This doesn't exist, man. We have to have it exist, and there's minimum order quantities, and all these things come about. And so, you've got one model of shoe now, but then in 3 different colors. How does it work in your business where it's not just 3 different colors, but it's also how many different sizes? And do
Yeah.
those all go into the minimum order quantity, or is there a minimum order of each size and each color? Because now all of a sudden you got like
There's
freaking combinations out the wazoo.
there's a lot of costs that go into like shoemaking, and I think, yeah, sizes play a part, colors play a part, materials. Um, it's if you're setting sail in the shoe industry or shoe business, and this is what like my dad, his brothers on the shoe business were telling us before, but we're kind of like we've got that same vision. Like you've modeled the numbers. You go, we can do this. You don't know what it takes to do this, but you're just like, we can do this. And I think that's probably best to have that almost naivety before you step into the arena, because you'll do something wild. You'll do something that could change status quo footwear. Um, yeah, I think it's just become like it becomes like a different deal when you jump in the water a little.
The that value of being a little naive, right? I think with every business I've ever owned and grown has had that. If I knew going into it what it was really going to take, I probably wouldn't have done it, right? And I
Yeah,
think there is that naive vision of like, here's kind of my game plan. Here's what it looks like. Here's what it looks like on paper. It is healthy, I think, to just dive in and see what the crap happens, man. I think you want to have some wisdom in that, but yeah, you're gonna run into things you've never expected. And give us some examples. I'd love to hear things you've run into that you just didn't see coming.
I don't know. I think there's all sorts of like things that can come about. I think marketing costs like have been kind of like a. I think we thought also in like the digital world it would be easier to reach someone, but there's actually like a lot that goes into marketing that we kind of just weren't seeing.
Sure.
Like we're like, oh, if I can just run into my neighbor, it's super easy to show him what I got here and talk to him about it. On the internet, it's no different. But you don't realize how many people are actually trying to do that on the internet,
Right.
and how adverse people are actually to being targeted on the internet to be marketed towards. So I think trying to like figure out this marketing that is like fun, it's gentle, it's not so like in your face. That's been kind of our thing we're trying to find, and also honor who we are as people and honor who we are as a brand, but also like what we're trying to create. And I think what we're trying to create doesn't need to be super pushed. We need to find the right balance.
Yeah.
I think that's been something we've been taken off guard by, is actually how difficult it is to create that interaction in the virtual space versus the real space.
Yeah, it is a learning curve, isn't it? It's like the ideas that we went into it with thinking, oh, I'm going to post a thing and people are going to respond and see it. And then we post a thing and nothing
Mm-hmm.
happens. And then we post another thing and nothing happens. And
Yep.
it's like, what are we doing? Are we doing this right? Are we doing it wrong? What's the deal? And, does it just take consistency? There's all these unanswered questions. And so much of it just seems nebulous. Like everyone's got their opinion on what you should do, but no one else has got it figured out either, man.
For
Unless your
sure.
name's Mr.
Yeah,
Beast, I
the
guess.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah, the business model's forever changing. Like you think this is like, especially in startup mode, it's like you think that this is what you're going to be spending your money, time, everything on, but then you're like, nope, it's this. No, you kind of, and it's not that like any of those things are wrong. You're just starting to figure out what it takes to push into this, that, and this.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a new game you're not versed in. It's like a white belt versus a black belt. Black belt has been in so many of these positions. He knows the correct amount of force to apply here. And then as a white belt, you're just learning, man. You're all over
Flailing
the
around.
place, a little wild.
Well, I'll tell you something. This is it's a business lesson. It's a jujitsu lesson, both. And I know it exists in every other venture. But I got my black belt this year, right? Just recently. And one of the things I
Congrats, man.
realized.
That's
Oh,
epic.
thanks, dude. Yeah, it's a big deal to me. But the point of that is, when I was a white belt and I was brand new at this, I thought black belts knew everything, could do everything, and could not, just were untouchable because that's what they felt like to me. But then I get here and I realize, holy crap, dude, we're just dudes too. And not only are we not untouchable, we're very, very susceptible still. We can be submitted just like anybody else. And,
Hmm.
yeah, we have more experience and, it's this thing, but we're still very much learning every day. It's like you hear people say, jujitsu begins at black belt. Like you really start to be able to learn. It's the same thing in business, man. It's like
Hmm.
you can be 20 years in and have a nice revenue going and built a really nice business, but you're still winging it every day. Every business owner I've ever talked to says, man, we're just making it up as we go. No one's ever done exactly what we're
Hmm.
doing. And so there's not a game plan for this. We're just figuring it out as we go.
Right.
And that never changes. And I think that's comforting in a way, right? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
I,
none of us know what we're talking about really.
that's a great way to put it. Just kind of like we're making it up as we go, and like uh, yeah, you don't really like you're creating something brand new is what you said, and like I think that's if you're really setting off to like create a business, I think no matter what, it's like brands are like people too. Like we carry our own DNA,
Right.
and if you push far enough in, eventually somebody is going to receive that in the way of like a different entity entirely than the rest because it's coming from a different place, different mind, different soul.
Yeah, it's got our fingerprints on it, but it's not really. It's there's when you talked about your brother being involved in partners, and there's these different ideas and different things, and yeah, that all has its effect, and it flavors the mix, right? It's beautiful. It's
Hmm.
beautiful, man. In your world, talk about what manufacturings look like, man, because I am still curious when you put in an order, your first order for shoes. How did you go about determining what sizes you get and how many of which color? Like what was your process there?
Well, there's like a little bit of like this bell curve and like well in everything, but like in the shoe world especially, you've got this bell curve of like, and we're learning this as well. Like we thought that traditional footwear applies the same way, the same market as barefoot shoes. So the bell curve you would think is kind of like from 9 to 10.5 to 11, and that's
It's
the
the peak,
peaks of the
right?
bell
Yeah.
curve. And then it kind of, with women's, kind of similar thing. You got size 7 to 8.5 bell curve like this. But barefoot shoes, it's different. Like, actually, I think what we found is people with larger feet understand barefoot philosophy more than anyone
Really?
because they're always just, because they're jamming their feet into anything. They're just like, dude, my feet are too big for this. Like, they already have they have more of an issue than just this. Like the links of their feet, they just understand kind of, and I don't know, it's just been interesting because like we've got like a lot of people who are like size 13, 14, these big shoe sizes who are like, I need to go size up, and our sizes only go up to size 13. And so we're finding like a lot of people actually were missing on the end of that bell curve.
Yeah. Do you
And to oh,
well, I
go
was
ahead.
going to ask, so when you're talking about that, you have, because there's not population wide, there's not a lot of people that are 14s or 15s or 16s, right? And so you have to make that determination at some points. Like, do I take a big risk to serve this tiny, tiny market? Can I afford to do that? Yeah. What do you
Yep.
do there?
Again, going back to MOQs and everything. I mean, I think so much of this is really just like, I wouldn't say gambling, but you are betting on it. You're betting on something, and I think for us, we want to serve as many people as we can. And I think, yeah, I don't know. I like going in that direction as well, especially with sports. A lot of athletes have larger feet, and uh, if we can get some athletes training our shoes and showcasing like the validity and the strengths of barefoot shoes, uh, I think it could be a big, we could get a lot of reactions from that.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me. So when uh when you are putting these orders in, what's an example of like how many shoes you have to order to do a minimum order in that world?
It just depends. I mean, with lower, I mean, I think with anything, I mean, and you get this like lower MLQs, higher costs, higher MLQs, you get some lower costs, and then it just depends where you and your partner, if it's just you, where the business is feeling fit enough to take on the risk to reward.
Mm, yeah. Oh. And it can matter dramatically, right? Between yeah, if you want to order 10 sets of one shoe versus, 400, your the
Yeah,
cost per item is dramatically different, right? And at some point they won't even
for
do it. They'll
sure.
just
I
tell
think
you no. Which is I guess we call it minimum order, right?
that's been the tough part too, is like in manufacturing, especially overseas and sampling. Like I think that it's tough to like iterate. Sometimes you're iterating and then, they're like, I'm done taking advice. It's time you have to go into production. And you're like, sorry, I'm not investing in something I don't love. Like, if I'm going to invest in this, it has to be picture perfect. I'll pay you for the sample fees, but some of these manufacturers, man, it's like they want you to freaking go into a production run the first prototype, and you're like, that's not how this works. So you've got to push back. You got to find the right balance, and I don't know. It's been tough too through like these tariffs because we've been switching our supply chain all the way from China to Vietnam, and ideally we could be in the U.S. I don't know how many manufacturing plants there are in the U.S. and who can do it at scale.
Yeah, that's something you said there when you're talking about some of the kind of shenanigans that the manufacturers want to do. And I had this one guy I was talking to, and yeah, they sent me a quote back, and he's like, we got to get your order placed this week. And I'm like, no, dude, we're just starting this conversation, and then
Yeah.
he did this thing, man. I remember where he just flat lied to me, and he tried to tell me that one of the ingredients in our formula had its own minimum order of, for him it was in the tons range, and it was a product, it was an
Hmm.
ingredient that very barely used, like it's a small part of the whole formula, right? And then Matt,
It's at the
he was
end of
wanting me to
the
spend
ingredient list.
like $10,000 just on this one ingredient. And I'm looking at him like that would make millions of packets of our electrolyte. And you're telling me that's the minimum, but I know better. And he's trying to he made me so mad, man, because it was total untruth, but he was trying to put pressure on me to get me to place this order because of this false deadline that, again, I knew better. I had a relationship with the manufacturer of the actual ingredient. So I knew that what he was telling me was a lie, but he was, man, he was sticking to his guns. And I told the manufacturer at that point, is like, if that guy ever shows up in my email thread again, this whole deal's off. Like, he is not, I'm not going to talk to
Yeah.
him. He lied to me. He did, and I had to really draw a line there. Just like, this dude's dishonest. And
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Have you dealt with any of that kind of
Yeah.
crap?
I we've dealt with like a lot. Like it's battle after battle, and it doesn't really stop. Is like the I was gonna say the funny part, but it's not really funny. It's like I don't know. It just creates like initially my brother and me were very much like together on like prototyping and like uh, design iterations, but it just didn't work because like the manufacturers were like playing us against
Oh,
each other
really?
to get their way. And like there was all sorts of like nonsense that would happen, and then they would just try not to make the changes we stated. Like we ended up like asking for some changes and they just wouldn't happen. We ended up flying out to China to literally like, because it was that key. It was like they it had to do with like our outsole and like I don't know, it's this micro level change. But you're telling me it's not possible, and I'm about to put in our first order for this huge order. Like this is our first manufacturing run as a
Yeah.
business, and it's just silly to me, man. Like it's like manufacturers don't really, and sometimes it's just you're with the wrong
Yeah.
manufacturer. Point blank. Like bottom line, it's like if this manufacturer believes in your brand enough, or it's like he's going to see the future and he's going to design for you. And if the guy isn't doing that, you probably do have an issue with your manufacturer. And so we've shifted around a little bit in that whole sphere, and we've also it doesn't hurt ever to have like kind of two options in the
For
conversation
real.
because it'll definitely get that other guy on point.
Yeah. Well, these guys said they can do it. Why can't you?
Pretty much. I mean, you don't want to like be like super mean, like always be playing people against each other, but it's like at the end of the day, like people need to realize they're not the only
Not the
options.
only game in town. That's real. It's funny that you said you had to fly out to China because I did the same thing. We were dealing with some back and forth with them trying to exactly match our flavor profile because a couple of the ingredients weren't exactly the ingredient I used when I was building the formula in my kitchen, right? And so um, we wanted
Hmm.
we actually wanted some better stuff than I could get just in the market for my R&D, rough drafts of these things. And so
Yeah,
we wanted some more purified
yeah.
stuff. So when we got that more purified, like stevia, for instance, it used a different amount than the less pure stuff that I was using for R&D. And so then we had to kind of make
Hmm.
adjustments, right? The samples that they would send me back that they were mixing up just didn't taste right. And so, yeah, I went out to the manufacturer. We sat there. I just called them up, said, "Hey, I'm coming on this day, and we're gonna sit there until we get it right." And that's what we did, man. We sat in there from samples back
Yeah,
and forth to the lab, and the lab was in the next room, right? And so they would just mix it, bring it in, and we'd do it, and it
exactly.
was this thing, and we finally got it right, and then it was great, and we got exactly what we wanted, and got the got it perfect, but it took us going there. We couldn't not do it remotely.
I get it. My brother, we were jet lagged from the flight. My brother and me were sleeping in the sample office. Like we're just like we're gonna be here till it's right,
Yeah.
and if it's not right, we're not doing anything with you guys. So that's kind of how you do it. It's like a ultimatum.
Yeah. Yeah, that would kind of fall in that category of things you didn't really see coming, right? It's like, man, we're gonna go out there and fly around halfway around the world to go sit there until we get it right.
Get this right.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned, David, about how they would play you and your brother together, and so that brings kind of the partnership um, questions into play here. So what's that partnership been like, and how do you guys draw kind of boundaries on who does what so that you're not stepping on each other and fighting over the same problem? Hey, has all that talk about salty electrolytes made you wonder what all the fuss is about? Have you thought that maybe one day you'd like to try that stuff? Well, today's your lucky day because Salty Electrolytes is offering free samples to listeners of this podcast who have not yet tried this amazing electrolyte supplement. All you have to do is head on over to goearnyourSalt.com and use the code PODSAMPLE at checkout to receive your free sample kit. There will also be a link in the description of this podcast. And now, let's get back to the show.
I was just in LA at Simi Valley with Carlos talking to him about this kind of with like brotherhood and then also like partnerships and stuff. Like it's like I mean, it's a line you have to walk. And the cool part about it, being in business with family or with your brother, for me, it's like you have to resolve the problem because like your brotherhood, uh, blood triumphs
Sure.
everything. Family's like core number one pillar for me. And if there's a problem that seems like a Goliath that you just can't get around, you're gonna get around it.
Yeah.
Like you're
You
gonna
better.
find a way. Yeah. So I would just say like that, and I think with any business you're gonna run into problems with or without your brother, and there's just no one I'd rather have in my corner than my brother.
That's cool, man. You know, my wife is, her and I run Salty Electrolytes, right? Because do all the decision making happens with her and I, right? And so we, but it's one of those things, and we've been in business together that way in other companies too, and for years. And one of the things we learned kind of the hard way was when we're at work, she answers to me more as an employee than my wife, right? And so we had to kind of put on these very we had to wear different hats. It's like, but when I turn her loose on the marketing side of it, she gets that. And when she makes a decision, I don't second guess her. You know, we'll come up with a game plan, and then I trust her to do that. It's been delegated out, but there's like that you know, if we're around employees or that sort of thing, she doesn't call me sweetheart or honey cakes or
Yeah.
whatever it happens to be. She calls me Riley.
Don't hold hands into the
Yeah,
meeting.
man. Yeah, we're not doing that. So she gets to be
Yeah.
employee just like the other employees, and so there's not that kind of weird feel in the business, and that's helped a lot. You know,
Yeah.
where I trust her with her department, and she trusts me with my department, and you know sometimes I'll bounce ideas off her, but you know in the areas that I have assigned to me, I control, and the areas I've assigned to her, she controls. And so, have you guys done that strategically and you know purposefully, or what's that look like in your world?
For sure. I think we revisit it every so often too. And we have some heart-to-heart conversations at times, and uh, where we just spill out kind of what's on our mind. I mean, whether it's a friction point or it's you're doing something well. I mean, business to me is very similar to jiu-jitsu in that the mats don't lie.
Yeah.
In business, like your business isn't gonna lie at the end of the day. Like if there's times of like low sales or low action, there's gonna be like, hey, what's going on? Like, what are we doing?
What are we not doing, right?
And
Yeah.
yeah, or what are we not doing? And I think we have those conversations, and um, we're gonna continue to. And yeah, just in business, it's like you said, like also there is some level of that too, where you have to separate from just being all out or nothing, and you do kind of have to say at the end of the day, this is a business, and like we have to make sure this thing's running good. If we're not tied to it, if we don't want to be tied to it in some way, we need to have the honest conversation and um, work things out in whatever way fits the business best. Because at the end of the day, we're both signed up to make this thing succeed, and if we're not all in, we gotta talk. And we've had those conversations many times, and uh, not many times, but just like if we aren't tied to a process, we delegate it. If we can, if we can't, we say we don't want to do this, and we'll work it out.
Yeah. Yeah, those conversations ahead of time are a big deal, man. They're a big deal.
Hmm.
Um, well, tell me this, man. Would you be okay? We're gonna move on to some lighter questions, a little funner stuff.
I love it. Let's get out of the manufacturing world.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just kidding. Relationships.
Well, listen, I know this is kind of new to you, but this is called the Go Earn Your Salt podcast, and something I ask every guest is when you hear that term "Go Earn Your Salt," what does that mean to you?
Sweat. That's it, man. That's how I think about it, and I think it's a badass name. It's cool.
Thanks.
It's like, yeah, go sweat, and uh, it doesn't mean you have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, but move.
Yeah. Get after it. I love it. I love it. David, you personally, what is your favorite pastime outside? You've talked about jujitsu and you're into that. Maybe that's it. But what's your favorite pastime when you're away from work?
Um, I'd say eating clean, eating healthy, and walking.
Yeah.
Like
So
just
talk about walking, man. Because and you know, we're talking about shoes, right? But we're talking about walking because that's a lot of times you said you're 26 years old. you
Yeah,
know. And so
just turned 26.
what I want you to kind of address, like sometimes walking's viewed as kind of like the thing old people do, man. But you're a young guy and you've you've discovered some benefits to walking apparently. So what? Tell me about it.
Man, I just love it. It's very meditative to me, and as we talked about before, with quieting down kind of the conscious, uh, and kind of emptying the mind from everything, whether it's, relationships, uh, business, jujitsu, any dramas, anything, you can always just recenter. And I don't know, to me, like, it more profound than just walking, walking on a treadmill is getting in nature where I can. Being close to water is my favorite. And it just, it's like the most meditative act for me.
That's awesome, man. David, what's your favorite band of all time?
Dang, this is tough. This is tough. I'd go The
The
Doors.
Doors. Nice, nice. Is it? You got a favorite song?
The End is pretty cool. Like, I love the opening sequence to Apocalypse Now with The End.
I
It's pretty it's pretty fire.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to listen now because it's funny because I ask people their favorite band and I'm always into like the '80s stuff because that's when I grew up and
Yeah.
but I also realize as I ask these questions how narrow my scope of music because sometimes people name stuff I'm like gosh I don't even know what that is, man. That's funny.
Yeah. No, it's check out The End, or even, have you seen
Uh,
Apocalypse Now?
I haven't. No, that's what I'm kind
Dude,
of saying.
it's an intense film. It's cool.
I'm gonna put that on my list, man. Tell me something quirky about you that people don't know.
Let's think. There's a lot of quirky things. It's just, I don't know, man. They're not coming up to my mind real quick. I think some of my like eating behaviors are pretty quirky.
Oh,
Like, I'll do some, I don't know, man. I do all sorts of weird things, but I mean they're good for you. I just, people think it's like weird because it's out of the ordinary. Like, and right here we've got some like apple cider vinegar,
okay.
and I like, it's not that quirky. Like, it's the right stuff. Filter your water, uh, remineralize your water. Um, Shoot, I don't know. I've got. Oh, I used to compete in boogie boarding.
Boogie board.
That's kind of, yeah.
That always looked really fun to me, man. That's I always thought it looked funner than surfing, but I don't know. I've never done either. So
It's, it's probably what helps me if I get into side control, just being able to boogie board good. It's kind of the same frame.
oh dude, so you can yeah, you
Kind
can
of got
pin a
that.
dude down with just your body movement, huh?
No, man. If we meet on the mats, I'm gonna be under you in side control.
I
Like,
don't know, man. That youth and
but
has a lot to do with things, you know.
yeah,
Okay, you mentioned tacos. What's your favorite food?
pasta,
Pasta?
pasta. So it's so simple.
It's so good.
It's so good, dude. It's the
Do you have a
best.
favorite dish?
I don't pasta al limon, like spaghetti al limon or something like that. Like, it's like a buttery lemon, and there's no meat. There's nothing. Maybe a little bit of Parmesan, a little bit of pepper.
You
That's it.
it's got
But it doesn't have to be spaghetti. Anything al limon is like,
it's like a creamy citrusy sauce. Dude, I had a dish one
sick.
time called Greek penne. That's what they called it, and it was a citrusy cream sauce, and it's one of the best things I've ever had in my life. So if it's like that, yeah, I hear you.
Gotta do it. Gotta do it. When you get the chance to do any pasta al limon, do it.
Okay, gonna take your word on that too. Tell me scariest moment of your life.
Um, Probably my brother, my dad, and me lost a bet once, and we had to go jump in the ocean kind of at like 2 a.m.
Ooh,
That was the poker bet. And so we went to Torrey Pines, and we were like getting our stuff, going back to the car. We shine a light, and there's a guy at the car with a gun, just like at our car, pointing at the gun. No one's in the car.
what the heck?
Like he's got a pistol, like right there. We see the whole silhouette, and we're like, "Holy shit, that guy's got a gun!" And we didn't know what to do. Our best bet probably was go back to the ocean, but my brother starts shining the flashlight. The guy just freaks out, gets in his car, skirts over a median, and he's out of there. And that was it. That was the night, and like we didn't even call the police or anything. We went back home. It was 2 a.m. and we're just like, that's the night. Like,
Wow. And you don't know what he was doing, huh?
is no idea. I don't know if he was just looking for like a young couple at the Overlook who were like having a night and he was gonna rob them. I mean, I think he was for sure trying to rob someone,
Dang, man. Yeah.
but it was freaky.
So you saw he wasn't pointing at you necessarily. He was just you could see the
He would have if we were in the car. He would have been.
oh
And
really?
then we were on the beach, and it was like we're either gonna be running from a I don't know. It was just hard to like assess the situation from there. Like, is the guy robbing us? Is he like a serial killer?
Yeah.
Like, what is this dude doing? But we just were like, we all had kind of made a pact. We're like, we're going back.
So dude, you're a young man at 26 years old, but if you could give your younger self some advice, what would it be?
Take take your time and uh don't rush into things so quick. Kind of just take your time and also keep showing up doing the things you're doing, but maybe just understand you're kind of young and things take time to compound.
Dude, I said you're dropping bombs. That is good advice because you're right. You got to learn some stuff. We talked about being naive going into things earlier and what kind of a benefit that was, and I think that's part of it. Is like just takes time to learn. You know, you, you started this
Sure.
jujitsu journey and you find out pretty quick in that world that there's a lot you don't know. But just keep showing up.
Yeah.
You learn.
Like like you said too, it's just continuous. At the highest level, you know it at a deeper level how
That's
much you don't
it.
know.
Yeah.
Like that's that's the craziest
It's
piece.
crazy. Yeah. How you can learn so much, but still know so little and still learn. In fact, yeah, I would venture to say the more experienced you get in anything, the more able you are to learn. It's like your sponge gets better at soaking things up because you maybe what you really learn is just the questions to ask, the right questions to ask, and you learn where some pitfalls are that you can stay away from. And
Over
yeah,
answers.
yeah, that's for real, man. Um, what's an item on your bucket list? What's something you just want to do before you cash in all your chips?
I think go to like
Yeah,
Mongolia or like yeah, something like that. I don't know, something very like off grid and kind of rooted in like yeah, something like grounded in nature, like to where you're I don't know. I'm obsessed with technology, but also I want to see kind of the other side of things as well. And just I don't know. Mongolia also I feel like it just feels like a spiritual destination to me.
there's some interesting stuff. I got invited. A cousin of mine does adventure bike riding. Right, he's really into that, and one of the things
Mm.
he wants to do here in a couple of years from now is go over and ride the Himalayas. And he invited me to go be a support team, like drive a jeep and follow him around. I thought that might be kind of cool, but I've never even that's never crossed my mind. So it's a very new thought. Like, man, I don't know.
Why, why not?
Yeah,
Go
yeah, we'll
for it,
check that
man.
out and see what
That sounds
happens. But I
amazing.
don't know if I'm going to take him up on it or not. But yeah, it's now on the radar, so we'll see. We'll see. That's cool. Do you have a favorite book of all time?
No. Uh, Ching.
Okay, you're gonna have to spell that. I don't know what you just said.
It's
All right,
Taoteteching.
tell me about it.
It's so I don't know how much you're in the world of like Buddhism or like spirituality, but it's very much in that realm. And it's just like this nice book that almost like encapsulates that essence of like not rushing things, like and just being very present, but also like understanding you are moving. Like you don't have to like go 100 miles per hour to hit that thing. You're in motion. Just keep doing the owning those small wins and showing up.
You know, that's an interesting thing because you've talked about this now a couple times, right? That moving slow, and I've always uh, really admired like when I think about samurai swords and how those are made, and how these Japanese swordsmiths will work a lifetime to learn that perfect little detail, you know, and how much time goes into small small details, man. How they pour themselves into it for years and years and
Mhm.
years and years to become this, you know, what we want to call a master. And then, you know, it's along the same vein as what we've been talking about. It's like all they do is get to a point where they know how much they don't know, but they've become the best in the world at a thing, maybe. But they small increments at a time and massive amount of years in between, you know, steps of growth. And I admire the heck out of that. I think that's cool as crap, man.
Sure, man. Yeah, I'm with you. It's like the that's just the essence of life. That's it to me. The overarching theme.
Yeah. God, that's good stuff. What's next for you, man? Where are you gonna go from here?
I'm going to be I need to move. I need to lift today. I need to earn my salt. As you would say, Riley. I gotta get after it. So I think I've been on a few calls this morning and I wanna get in my daily movement. So I'm gonna be moving and thinking about some shoes a little, and that's it, man. Might look for some new spots to prototype some more styles.
Nice. Nice. It's funny you mentioned going to move because you know, you're thinking about shoes, but you've been on some phone calls. My afternoon is gonna look exactly like that when we're finished recording. I'm jumping on doing some good old fashioned cold calls, man, hitting the streets, and then yeah, gonna go for a run. So there we go. We're on the same wavelength. Love
Let's
it.
go.
I love it.
Let's go.
Um, tell us where you can be found, man.
You can find us anywhere online at abstractchimp.com, and then any across any socials, it's just going to be at Abstract
Beautiful.
Chimp. Yeah, check us out, and I also realized I hadn't shown the shoes the
Well,
whole time
yeah, I
I've
was
been
gonna
on here.
actually stick some pictures up, but let's do that. Let's patch that in, man. Show us what they look like. Because there was something I forgot to
All
mention
right,
earlier, but you have on top of the kind of the where the sole wraps around, you alluded to the toes on there, right? You got these lines on there that kind of have that design. And I was gonna ask you that earlier if
for
that's what you
sure.
intended on, but that sure is what it looks like.
A- Actually, a lot of the design was like inspired by the foot, aside from just like uh, the structural changes to like the toe box and the zero drop outsole. Like so, just to give you some style behind the box too. You got kind of like a Neo from the
Oh,
Matrix breaking
cool.
out there. But this is the black shoe, and we've got cream, white, and black, all
Mm,
monochromatic. But aside from just the shape of the shoe, what I was going to tell you about, which was super intentional for me, is I wanted to design kind of the upper in that same way. So like if you look at your foot, this is kind of the inside of your like
uh-huh.
arch right here, and then you've got five toes, which was intentional
Oh,
on the
nice.
eyelets. And then we also feature on the outsole reflexology chart from like Eastern medicines, which is just honoring that your feet connect to a larger system than just regarding them as they're your feet and that's all they are. No, these things are powerhouses. They're your foundations and they connect really from like Eastern medicines and traditions. Like they're believing in energy systems that connect from your nerves and meridians like on
Yeah.
your feet to organs. So this could be your liver, this could be, you know, whatever organ system it is, but you can actually heal your body through your feet.
That's an interesting thing, man. Because yeah, you would definitely see those if you're walking out on the trails. I get a kick out of it because there's myself and a few other guys around here who will run with actual bare feet, and no shoes at all. And yeah, we can always see where each other's been. Right, we'll follow the trails. That would be a very.
For sure.
Whoop, I
E-
lost you there again for a second. Gosh, I'm gonna actually cut
Good.
that real quick here. So right at 2 hours. Um, but yeah, your soul is very unique, right? You'd be able to see where anyone went. You know exactly who you're following with that. So don't commit a crime in a pair of
Yeah,
abstract shrimp shoes, right?
exactly.
That's awesome, man. Well, dude, it's been a pleasure having you on. Cause I don't want to pick up a set of those black ones. I like to get black shoes myself because they kind of go. You can wear them with just about anything.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
oh man, join the Abstract Chimp family,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it, dude. So listen, man, go out there, earn your salt. Appreciate you once again. We'll
We'll do, man. I need to stock up on some electrolytes as
Yeah, I'm
well
gonna
here
I'm gonna
soon.
send you some. So I'm gonna get your address when we get off here. But let's yeah, we'll do that. And then like I said, I didn't say it, I guess, but I do want to maybe in a year or two have you back on after you've taken some more business steps, and we'll revisit this whole idea. Okay.
Would love to,
All right,
man.
man.
Thank
Go earn
you.
your salt, my friend. Hey, you've just finished up this episode, and I want to know: are you or someone you know a getting after it, go earn your salt type of person? If so, message me directly on Instagram at the Go Earn Your Salt podcast, and perhaps we can have you on the show. Also, if you like this content, leave us a review, subscribe, and share with your friends. And perhaps this podcast can help you and them go earn your salt.